Calibrating cybernetics.
Talk to him now.
AT, Andre.
Come on, Dre.
Yep. Trippin with Let's Go.
Woo!
Trippin with Theobold.
What's your name?
Theo so bold.
Yeah.
Driggity. Let's go. Trippin with Theobold. Trippin.
What are we doing?
Trippin with Theobold.
Come on, Dre.
Mic check 1 2. We on? Hey, what's going on, y'all? And welcome to the 49th episode of Trippin with Theobold. I'm your host, Andre Theobold. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. A lot we got to talk about today. But before we get started, if you guys went to Spotify last week and typed in Trippin with Theobold, you found yourself a little surprised. You found that my podcast is now official. We on Spotify, baby. Yeah, we doing it. Improvements, Pilgrim's Progress, and all the above. Welcome to the show. So let's just jump into it. So as you guys know, I like to tie my episode numbers to a Buffalo Bill of past or present. And today's episode number is tied to none other than Mr. Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds, number 49 for the Buffalo Bills. Current linebacker for the Bills. Solid pick for the Bills. Number 49. Here's the thing, man. He gets a lot of flack from a lot of fans because he gets beat on like big plays. But not, here's the thing. He gets beat on, he's probably gotten beat on like 2 or 3 maybe big plays, like huge plays. But other than that, he be holding down the fort, man. So I think we as Bill fans need to just chill out. He gonna figure it out. He's still a young linebacker in the game. And you know, Von Miller is definitely gonna help him out. So I have no worries. What else? So Tremaine Edmonds, weird fact, man. So he has the same last name as one of my exes. And it's weird because they look like they could be related and shit. You know, it's really weird. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say they look alike. I said they look like they could be related. You know, like they both got that California raisin kind of nose thing going on. You know what I'm saying? They got that bell pepper. You know. So anyway, I'm just sidetracking, talking stuff. But now today's episode is tied to number 49, Tremaine Edmonds. What else do we have going on here now? So let's do some promotion, right? Let's go ahead and promote. Got a lot of stuff I gotta promote. So here we go. Got some hats from Dungeon Forward, one of my new favorite companies. These things cost a little something, you know, but they worth it. Like this is like one of my new favorite hats, and they call them crowns, and I like that, you know. Good summertime hat. You guys can't see the green because it's you guys can probably figure that out, but dope summertime hat. This is one of my favorites right here. What else we got? This hat here got the all black joint. I like this hat too. But here's the thing. Like they have high crowns and like low crowns, and this is a low crown hat. Oops, sorry, this is a high crown hat. And as y'all know, I ain't got no hair, you know what I'm saying? So I invest in hats. That's what I like to do. But this hat fits kind of like weird, you know, like it's a little too like low, but it's a high crown hat. I wish they made this crown. I wish they made this a low crown hat too, because this joint would definitely have been fitting the way I wanted it to. But I'm still happy with it. I'm still gonna rock it. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Dungeon Forward. What else we got? 47 brand, man. They taking all my money along with GOAT. 47 brand. I need to see if 47 brand has a stock or like a stock. Let me go pull up this chat right quick, see if anyone's gonna join me while we trip. right quick. Let me just pull this up right quick. Give me a few seconds. Let me see if I can't pop in this chat. And no one's here yet. Okay, no problem. You know, as they said in Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Right? And yeah, I'm building it. So anywho, but nah, 47 brand, man. They gonna take all my bread, man. 47 brand is a hat company based out of Massachusetts. And as you guys know, New Era is based out of like Buffalo. Not like, they are based out of Buffalo, New York. So I feel kind of weird buying 47 brand because I'm like everything against Boston, but whatever. They make dope hats. But I saw the Bills Zuba print 47 brand dad hat. I was like, man, I gotta get this, man. So this is gonna be a hat that I'm gonna rock all season next season. Gotta rock the Zubas, man. What else we got? And then I got a traditional Bills blue hat, basic hat, you know. So shout out to 47 brand for doing their thing with the hats. Also, last but not least, shout out to Mr. Tan Panda himself. I'm rocking his gear. It's a comedian that I be in the trenches with. He's out here in LA. Mr. Tan Panda. I saw him last week at the Laugh Factory and I saw him wearing some merch and I was like, "Oh, you got merch?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Man, give me the link." So he gave me the link and I went on there and I had to go ahead and get me a Mr. Tan Panda tan hoodie. This joint is nice and comfy. It's kind of hot for the summertime to wear it, but you know, I'm gonna rock this in the fall probably, you know, or if it's a cool summer night, I'll probably rock this joint. And then this is his shirt as well too. Dope shirt. Just comedian. That's what I am, you know. So yeah, so if you want to go support a fellow comedian, go to MrTanPanda.com and that's where you will see all of his merch. So what else do we have going on here? Let's go ahead and jump into the DFS portion of the show. Let's talk DFS. So first and foremost, I want to apologize to you guys for last week. I had a long episode, right? I felt like things were kind of all over the place. I didn't do a dry run of my analysis of all my data, you know, so it was all over the place, you know. And what happened was I thought that I could cover all of my analysis within a 20-minute slot, and that's just not possible, you know. So I'm gonna try some things out. I revamped it. I'm doing something a little different. So it'll be a little smoother, you know, but I think we're gonna right the ship, and I think everything is going to pan out the way it needs to pan out. Okay, so wanna apologize for that. But before we get into this, man, come on, Dre. So before we get into this, right, I want to talk about this right quick, man. As you guys know, I'm a Washington Nationals fan. You know, I went to the inaugural game back in 2005. 2005? Yeah, 2005 at RFK Stadium versus the Mets. I cut class that day. That's how I remember that game. I cut class that day. Grad school, that was. I cut class to go see the inaugural opening game. And I got to talk about this, man. So if it wasn't for DraftKings, I probably wouldn't be watching any sports, man. I'm just keeping it a buck. Right? Like, if it wasn't for DraftKings, I probably wouldn't be watching any sports, man, because the owners, you know, they were greedy at first, you know, and they were taking advantage of the players. And when they were taking advantage of the players, you know, decided to union up or whatever, or team up, and they wanted to basically make sure that they got the better end of the deal. Now I think we're kind of approaching the boundary of where the players are starting to abuse their rights, you know, because now I think the fans are getting screwed, you know. Like, you got all these players stacking up on teams, going to cities and just starving, like, basically starving teams out of even being able to get on the map, right? Like, if you have a small market team that has a first round pick and they get a player, and then the player doesn't like the area, and then they want to go jump ship and then go stack up somewhere else, it's like, it's not fair to the fans of that city, you know what I'm saying? So this is where, me personally, like I said, I used to get emotional about players leaving my team and going somewhere else, but now I could care less, man, you know, because I'm about this money just like they about this money. And this is why sports is going to die off. Sports is going to die. Sports is going to die a slow death, but once it dies, it ain't coming back. So I hope y'all, get y'all little Super Bowls and get your little home game action in and buy your little jerseys and have fun, because this shit going to come to an end. And it's not going to come to an end soon, but when it comes to an end, there's no coming back. Because people are just going to be like, nah, this shit is played out. Like, that bubble is going to pop. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of Mr. Juan Soto, right? So when Bryce Harper was going to leave the Nationals, I was, I wouldn't say I was hurt, but I was pissed. I'm like, yo, here it is. We drafted this dude. Had to wait almost a year to see him play. Then we started winning. And then right before we get our groove, he want to be out. So at the time, I was like, man, fuck Bryce Harper. I hope he never win a championship, and I hope he ends up forgotten. Now I'm different. Now I'm like, why should I care? He don't know me. I don't know him. So why should I care? He's just getting his money. So that's why with DraftKings, I do the same thing. I'm just getting my money. I don't be caring about these players like that, because I don't know them like that. So when Bryce Harper left, I was like gung-ho. I was like gung-ho on Juan Soto. I was like, you know what? We don't need Bryce Harper, man. We got Juan Soto. But as you guys know, Juan Soto turned down the $440 million 15-year deal with the Nationals to make him the highest paid baseball player in the history of baseball, right? Or he was going to be the highest paid. I'm not sure if it's in the history. It probably was the history. He was going to be the highest paid baseball player, period. And when I first heard that news, I had Bryce Harper flashbacks, because around the home run derby time, right when, Bryce Harper won the home run derby for the Nationals, he was out the next season. So Juan Soto gone. I don't have any hope. The way things sound, he's just like, nah, I'm out. And you can't turn down $440 million and expect the team to want to have you back. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm here to get this money. This is why I play DraftKings, right? I play DraftKings so I can get my money as a fan. And no more jerseys. I'm going on a rant. Let me go ahead and just wrap up the rant and get to the data, because that's what you guys want to see. You guys want to see me talk about data, not rant about why I have jerseys and why I stopped buying jerseys, because I don't buy jerseys no more, man. Fuck it, I'm going to talk about it, man. So I used to like buy jerseys. Like, I remember I was trying to find me a good Washington Nationals jersey. I was trying to find me one, man. And I was going to get me an Anthony Rendon about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I was going to get me an Anthony Rendon jersey. But I'm glad I didn't, because he's on the Angels now. So then I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and get a blank jersey. So I have like two Nationals. I have one blank Nationals jersey, and I have one Jackie Robinson tribute Nationals jersey. But what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to get a Kaepernick jersey for all my baseball jerseys, because I know I'm always going to wear that, if I go to a game but you know what? Yeah, because as you guys know, I already have two Kaepernick jerseys right now. I have two Bills Kaepernick jerseys. I need to get a Kaepernick red color rush jersey, and I need to get a Kaepernick Bills throwback jersey. And I know some of you guys are like, man, do you have a Josh Allen jersey? Nah, I don't have a Josh Allen jersey. Josh Allen is a dope quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I'm glad he plays for my team. But there's nothing that says he might not be a Miami Dolphin in 2 years, When it comes to the money, these players do what they want to do, He's not worried about me, so why should I worry about him? You know what I mean? It's no hate. It's just he getting his money. I'm trying to get my money. You know what I mean? So let me go ahead and get to the data right quick. So, I didn't mean to do that. So last week I told you guys, not last week, because last week there was no show because I had a medical procedure done, which is why I'm in this medical facility, which I'm going to talk to and get to in a second. But 2 weeks ago, what was I talking about? Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I told you guys I was going to show you guys my spreadsheet, right? Because I got spreadsheets, right? Let me go and pull my spreadsheet up to show y'all what this is about. To show it, because this show wouldn't be called Trippin with Theobold if we don't trip every now and again, right? So here's my spreadsheet. Bam. Yeah. So as my analog and digital communication theory teacher, Dr. Salaji, taught me so well. He taught me how to save your exams and study the wrong answers, right? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you get a final exam and all the questions that you didn't study or correct on your previous exam show up again, and then you fail that too, right? I'm gonna fail once, like I might fail once, but I'm not gonna fail twice on the same shit. I can tell you that for damn sure, you know? So, what you're looking at is my collection of my data, you know? Like I said, the most important stat in daily fantasy sports is who's winning which slot, right? That's the only thing, that's the only stat that matters. Because when you play like traditional fantasy baseball, yeah, you might be able to get a bargain and get a deal, but there are a lot of players that have great projections or that put up, I call them fringe players, right? Basically, they're in between a tier 2 and a tier 1 player. And what they do, Technics. Oh, hey, what's up, Technics? Oh man, all the way from Canada. What's going on, Andrew? My man with the digital shades, tuning in. Big data, that's me. Yep, I gotta feed this into a neural network, man, and get all this data crunched up. But what I was saying was is like my analog and digital communication theory teacher taught me to always keep all your old exams, study all your old exams to make sure that, you know, you don't get the same shit wrong that you got in the past wrong in the future, you know? So what I do is I keep track of all the data, or I keep track of all the slots, right? Like each of these columns here is an exam, right? This is a tournament, this is a tournament, this is a tournament. And what I do is what I've learned is that you might have some players that are fringe tier 1, tier 2 players, right? Like they're in the middle. And those players don't win shit in tiers, right? And as you guys know, I play tiers because it gets you into action a whole lot quicker. So, yeah, so I look at the analysis, I look at the trends per each tier. I do all this stuff, right? So I know I might be contradicting myself. I remember a few episodes ago I said don't break out spreadsheets, because when you break out a spreadsheet, you know, you're going to lose. So let me go ahead and recant that, right? Spreadsheets are good for keeping track of like players or keeping track of information. But when you try to crunch numbers in a spreadsheet for any DFS tournament, you will lose. So I use this as a first order measure to get my lineups kind of the way I want them. And then I go in and then look at data, or I look at specific data points like numbers, hardcore numbers where necessary. All right. So I'm not going to show you guys all my magic, but just know that I do my research before I make my team picks. Okay. So let's take a look at what happened to me today, because today I ain't win shit. All right. So today, here are my results. So I did this tiers competition. I came in 598th place out of 1.8K people, roughly 2,000 people. Didn't end up in the black. No money for me. Oh well. But let's go ahead and analyze why I ended up the way I ended up. So let me go ahead and get him out the way. Boom. So here's my let me move this over a little bit. Here we go. So here are my results for today. So as you guys see, I only put up 42 points. First place took the whole pot. They took first place. Won with 76 points by putting up. They won $125. They won in first place with 76 points. So to my left here, right, or I'm on the left, right. So basically, excuse me. So what happened here with me today was I went with the slots, right? So my wild picks, or the picks that I'm happy with that followed my pattern that I so accurately predicted in my spreadsheets were Marcus Simeon and Javier Baez. Those two I used my spreadsheet and got those right. I use my spreadsheet for everything for the most part, but where I messed up at was right here in tier 3 with Mr. Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres messed me up, man. What's up, man? Gleyber Torres, talk to me. So I couldn't use my spreadsheet data to pick the player I really wanted to pick, because the player I wanted to pick was, I believe, I wanted to go with Josh Donaldson. That's who I wanted to go with based on the data and who was winning tiers. Or really, I just went based on the slot. So I wanted to go with Josh Donaldson, but he was scratched for today. So I had to then go back and run some numbers, right? So let me show you why I picked Mr. Torres. And you'll see where I messed up. So let me go ahead and connect everything so I can show you the data breakdown of why I picked Mr. Torres. So let me go ahead and shrink, get rid of him, pull up the data capture. Here we go. Hit OK. And let me see if we are here. Boom, here we are. Boom. Perfect. So Gleyber Torres, man, dropped a goose egg on me today, man. Cost, and I wouldn't have won the whole thing. I wouldn't have probably came in first, but I would have definitely been in the black if he would have won his tier, because he cost me 21 points, or he messed me up out of 21 points. So let me go ahead and get to the data right quick. Okay, and we're not moving. Okay, let me go ahead and one quick second. I got all these moving pieces. Got to keep all these moving pieces going. Let me start the screen recording. Oh no, the new movie recording. Boom, there we go. Now I can show you my data the way I want to. All right, so here's Mr. Torres. All right, so as I said, the spreadsheet told me not to pick him, and I didn't pick him. But Josh Donaldson was scratched, so I had to pick somebody. And as you see here, July 21st put up a big goose egg, big zero, big nothing. So the reason why I went with him is because I saw that 0-4. I saw that 0-4 trend, right? When you go 0 and then 4, a lot of times, like, baseball players are getting ready to boom. That means that they're gonna put up, like, they're about to go off. So let's take a look at more of the. Let's take a look at that, right? And at first, when I think I may have looked through this a little too fast, but what I saw was, I saw that June 29th, June 30th, July 2nd. I see that pattern. I saw that 0-5-19. So I was like, yo, he gonna put up at least 19. I'll take 19 points from Mr. Come on, Dre. I said I'll take 19 points from Mr. Torres. But if you go further back in the data, you see he put up 0-4-8. And that's kind of shitty, you know. And then you even see a 0-7-2, right, or a 0-2-10. So I think what happened was I scrolled through the data a little too quick. Like, I scrolled through and I saw that 0-4-19 or that 0-5-19, and I got a little too happy, and that's when I went ahead and went with Gleyber Torres. So yeah, Andrew says he went 0-for-19 a few 0-19 a few games before that 0-4. Hey, yep, crazy, exactly. So that's why I try to tell people, or I try to tell myself, you know, like, when you read the numbers on your own, you will mess yourself up. Because I used to look at all these data patterns, and I used to try to pick each. I used to go through like 30 players and look for trends. And when you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to think you see a trend when you don't see a trend, you know, and you're going to see all types of stuff, which is why I just focus on who's winning which tier, or who's winning which category. So anyways, Gleyber Torres messed me up. I thought I was going to get that 19. Yeah, we saw, like Andrew said. He said he went 0-for-19 a few days ago. Exactly. But what's also pretty interesting too is, and this kind of messed with me a little bit, was if you look at the Houston data, right? Because they played Houston. If you look at his record against Houston, this whole season he's been shitting the bed. Like, he's been getting no more than 8 points, right? So I was thinking, you know, when players are having that bad of a run in a series or versus a certain team, they're gonna like blow up eventually. You know, like if you look at Gleyber Torres against Houston in 2021, he had a 4-game stretch before he put up double digits, right? So I'm thinking, okay, he put up double digit or single digits 5 straight games in a row, so he's due for a double digit game. But the dude I wanted to go with today, man, was Josh Donaldson, man. If I would have picked Josh Donaldson, I think Josh Donaldson would have got it done. But he was scratched, so I had to go to the data. So long story short, to all my new DFS players, DraftKings people, you know, my advice is to, like I said, just pay attention to what categories or what who's winning which slots. That's the only stat that matters, right? You can look up all these baseball number stats. You can read all these stats till you turn blue in the face. But the only stat that matters is who's winning their tier or who's winning their slot. And that's what I focus on. And then if you can't deduce anything from that, then start looking at the numbers, you know. But what I am going to do before the NFL season starts is I'm going to go back to my neural network ways, right? Because I was taking a course of neural networks as a hobby, you know. I actually modified a feed forward neural network to feed in a whole bunch of NFL data to help me pick my perfect lineup for Sundays. And I got 2 receivers right in the Millie Maker, which was crazy. Like I've never gotten 2 receivers right. I've won money, but I've never gotten 2 receivers right because, you know, in the traditional daily fantasy sports world, in football, you have to pick, it's a 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, and then defense and special teams, right? So I never got 2 receivers right, and I got like it was a pretty like, oh wow, this neural networks machine learning stuff kind of works, you know. So like I said before, moral of the story is let the computers do the number crunching, you do the common sense analysis of who's just winning tiers. All right, so that kind of concludes it for my DFS portion of the show. Now let's go ahead and get into the main topic of the show, right? So as you guys know, last week there was no Trippin with Theobold last week, you know, and the reason why that was is because I had to get a colonoscopy, which is why we're in this examination room. Had to get a colonoscopy, man. But before I get started with that, man, I want to give a special shout out to Clarice and her husband Charlie, you know, and my former coworker Donovan, man. Me, Clarice, and Donovan used to work in the same department back at our old job, and they came through for me, man. Clarice and Charlie pulled up, and they scooped me up to go drop me off at my appointment, and then Donovan, you know, scooped me up afterwards, and then dropped me off back at my Airbnb, you know. So shout out to them, man. Really, really am grateful for that because they were not gonna let me. They were not going to let me drive myself or take an Uber. Like, that's one thing in the paperwork. When you get a colonoscopy, you cannot take an Uber. You can't drive yourself. And they check, you know? So yeah, shout out to Clarice and Donovan. Appreciate y'all, man. Much appreciated. So the reason why I had to get a colonoscopy, in my opinion, is because the reason why I got it is because family members on both sides of my family had colon cancer. You know, like it runs in my family pretty deep. You know, so like my dad had it twice. My grandma had it twice on my mom's side. Yeah, and then my aunt had it on my mom's side, and she died from it. You know, so I've been trying to get this colonoscopy done for about 4 years, you know. And then I remember like before the pandemic, like maybe like a year or two before the pandemic, I saw my doctor and I saw my primary care doctor. He was like, yeah, I think you might be a little young. I'm going to see what I can do. I told him my concerns and then had to see the specialist. The specialist was like, yeah, nah, you too young. Can't get it yet. So then the pandemic happened and then you know, Chadwick Boseman passed away. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, man. And he died from colon cancer. So I was like really shook then. I'm like, yo, if I got colon cancer on both sides of my family, and like and it's like that occurring, or if it's that frequent, and he got it and died mid-40s, I'm like, man, I gotta find a way to get this done, you know. So then I was laid off, had to pay for my own insurance. And then when you get your own insurance, if you pay for your own insurance or whatever, you'll see that the benefits is mighty shitty, you know, pardon the pun. So finally, when I started working again, and I got decent medical insurance, I went ahead and scheduled an appointment to see my doctor, my primary care doctor. And then it took me like 3 months to get an appointment to see him. And then when I saw him after the 3 months, he assured me, and was like, oh yeah, man, you're of age, and you know, your dad had it, and yada, yada, yada. So yeah, man, so I'm going to make sure that you just get a referral. So you're going to be able to just walk right in, and they're just going to do it. And there's going to be no screening. There's going to be no pre-visit, no nothing. Just go there, show up, and boom. Right. So after I got the referral and I called the specialist, the secretary got back to me, and the secretary was like, no, you're going to have to come in, and the earliest we can see you is in March. So this is in January. So she said like end of March was the latest or the earliest I could come in to actually get evaluated to see if I could even get a colonoscopy, right? So I went in late March. Let me get a little drink. My throat getting a little dry. So I went in March, late March, and then you had to be careful. Here's a tip for you guys, right? So whenever you're going in for a colonoscopy, man, make sure that try to be as honest as possible, you know, wink, wink. But they're gonna try to categorize you into either diagnostic or preventative care, right? So if you go in there saying that your stomach hurts, or you know you have an irregular if you go in there saying you have an irregular bowel pattern, they're gonna say, oh, okay, so if you want to get this colonoscopy, it's gonna be diagnostic, and that gets billed as a whole different thing, you know, which means that you're gonna be on the hook for the co-insurance, you know. But if you go in there and you say if it gets categorized as preventative, most insurance companies, you know, cover 100% of preventative stuff, right? So they were trying to kind of probe and ask questions, and they were like, hey, so do you have a tummy ache, or how are your bowels looking? And I'm like, man, I don't be looking at my shit like that. I didn't say that, of course, obviously. But they're gonna poke and prod and ask you all kinds of questions, and they're trying to get that billing code to say diagnostic, and you don't want that. So I'm actually grateful that the first time I tried to get one, it didn't go through, because I would have probably messed up and answered all them questions wrong. But anywho, I finally saw the specialist, and then he was like, okay, yeah, well, I think it's good that I think that you need one. So I went ahead, and he scheduled me for July. So now I'm like, man, a whole half a year out, I gotta wait till July. So I get like a little packet, and they tell you all the things you gotta do. You know, they tell you hey, you gotta like 2 weeks before, you gotta start changing up your diet, right? They call it a low residue diet. I'm like, what the hell is a low residue diet? Like all doo-doo has residue, baby. But they said it had to be a low residue diet, right? So basically, they give you the sheet, and it doesn't tell you anything, right? They tell you what you can't. They tell you what not to eat, right? They tell you what not to eat. I'm like, yo, they give you a whole list of all this shit of what not to eat. I'm like, look, what can't I eat? So here it is. I'm going around in the grocery store looking for everything but that, and then it's like I can't even eat that, you know. So the low residue diet, yeah, exactly, man. I'm like, man. So I had a friend of mine or a cousin that had a colonoscopy done. He was like, man, don't listen to that, man. Just go in there, the day before, like make sure you don't eat anything. Eat clear shit like the day before, right? So like Jello, no red Jello. You can't eat red Jello because red Jello, it's gonna make it look like you got something else going on when they examine you, So but I had like blue Jello, some green Jello. I drank a lot of water, had a lot of kombucha, had a lot of my kombucha. I was sipping on that, but I bought all this stuff, man, that I didn't even eat, man. So I'm like whatever. So, but that was the whole packet thing, right? So they give you like a little packet or whatever, and then I scheduled an Airbnb because I got my care done down in the Irvine area, right? And if you know anything about California, Irvine is like hella far from Los Angeles, right? It's not far, but it's far. It's like 45. It's like 50. The place where I got my procedure done was 60 miles south of where I'm from, right? So I knew that I couldn't be doing all this prepping and stuff and running around 60 miles away from where I live. And the reason why I chose to get it done down 60 miles south of where I'm from, or south of LA, is because LA, no offense to LA, man, but man, I went to a few doctors out here, man, in LA, man, that it's like I think it's a byproduct of the pandemic and the fact that there are just so many people in Los Angeles, right? So when you go to a doctor and you feel like a number and you feel like you're being rushed around and no one's really talking to you, that's not really doing me any good. So I went down to what I know, right? Like I'm going to do what I know best, which is down in Orange County, which is way down in the Irvine area. So I went down there and I had to get an Airbnb, so I got my Airbnb like maybe 3 weeks ago or like 3 weeks prior to my visit. It's like right. I could have walked to my visit, but I wasn't taking any chances because if I would have walked there and didn't have a ride, they might have been like, well, no, you can't do your colonoscopy, So I still made sure I had a ride to and from, but I could have walked it because it was like maybe half a mile away. But anyways, what happened, man? So let me go ahead and get to the Airbnb part, right? The Airbnb shit is funny, right? So I was in this gated community with a bunch of old white people, man, and when I pulled up at the gate, the guy just looked at me weird and was like, yeah, why are you here? And I'm like, here for my appointment, here for my Airbnb. He's like, oh no, we don't do Airbnbs here. I was like, okay. So the guy was like, okay, give me your address. And I'm like, give me the name and the address of the guy that you're staying with. And I'm like, ah, shit, I probably got this dude in trouble, man. So he was like, yeah, we're not supposed to be doing, he's like, yeah, they're not supposed to be doing Airbnbs in here. But go ahead. So he let me through. And then, I went in there, met the host, and it was this older dude and his son, and, they were both like, the host was real nice, man. Like he even came out and met me and was real nice, and his son was kind of weird, but his son was cool, but he was weird, man. Cause his son just stayed on the computer like 24/7, right? So I stayed in this little part of the house. It was like, I guess it was a back house, but it was like connected. So it was like, it used to be like a store. You could tell it used to be like a storage thing or maybe a garage, but they fixed it up, had a bed and everything in there and a TV and air conditioning. But when I got there and walked in, when you walked into the main part of the house, the son would just be on the computer all day. Like he was just in the computer, slumped up in his chair, just in the computer all day. Didn't say shit to me at all. Didn't say one word, just in there, just typing on the computer, and then when I was in my room, the son came in or knocked on my door and was like, hey, yeah, my dad told me to make sure I let you know. He told me to make sure that to make sure that I let you know how everything works. And he was real friendly. But I'm like, man, it's kind of weird, like, to see a motherfucker go from not saying shit to all of a sudden being, like, friendly. And then he went back to his computer and then didn't say shit the rest of the trip, you know? But he was cool. Like, he wasn't bad. Just that he was just, like, into his computers and stuff, you know? And, like, I don't know what he was doing, but he was just on that computer all day, all night, too. But, no, it was a good stay, you know? But the residents of where I stayed at, oh, my God, man, they were all up in my shit. Like, they were all up in my business, man. Like, everyone was stopping me. Hey, do you live here? I'm like, no. Hey, why are you here? I'm like, I'm here visiting a friend. Oh, who's your friend? I'm like, so-and-so. Oh, yeah, he just moved in. Nice to meet you, buddy. Have a good stay. Like, they were all up in my business, man. It was kind of like, hate to bring up old news, but it was kind of like that's how, you know, people in Buffalo, when the shooter came through, they should have been, right? Like, instead of like this dude was like, you know, even here's the thing, right? I'm all for, like, not trying to judge people and stuff, but if you look like you're an outsider, it's cool to just make conversation with people, I guess, you know? Because if people made conversation with this dude, you know, and he was giving them kind of like weird answers, they could have been like, hey, yo, we got this dude walking around, we don't know what he's doing here, why he's here, just FYI, you know, his story not adding up. And that's what they were doing to me in the assisted living place. I don't know if it was assisted living, but in that community, when I was in there, man, they was treating me like, yo, we don't know you, you don't look like us, why are you here? But it wasn't like super rude, but they were just like all up in my shit, you know? They were trying to like see if my story didn't add up. And if my story didn't add up, they would have probably went and snitched or whatever, you know? But anyways, there was even a security guard that came in and pulled up when I went to leave out to go make an errand. A security guard pulled up and was asking the host a whole bunch of questions or whatever, you know? So it was what it was, man. You know, it was a good stay. I got a good night's sleep. I got everything. I had everything I needed, you know, no complaints. But I digress. So the day of the exam, let's talk about the day of the exam, right? So, no, the day before the exam, because the night before the exam, I had to drink this shit called Soup Prep. You know, I hope it's called, is it Sup Prep or Soup Prep? It'll be terrible if it was called Soup Prep, man, because that just sounds nasty. You know, you drinking some Soup Prep to get your bowels soupy so they come out. You know, that's. I think it's called Soup Prep. I call it Soup Prep. If it's not, then I get it. You know, but nah, it's like this little bottle. I had like these two little bottles. Like look, they were like these little like small little cough syrup bottles. You know, and you have to read the instructions on the box, you know, and you know when I basically you pour it in this cup, and it's clear. Like I'm thinking it's a residue, but it's not. It's a clear liquid, and you have to add water to it. You have to dilute it, right? So you have to add enough water to have a 16-ounce solution, right? So you add this water, or you add water to it, and man, this stuff smells sweet. Like it smells like Diamond Tap. But when you drink it, it's like salty. I ain't never had no shit where you drink something and it smells sweet but tastes salty. That shit was weird. So I didn't even drink it. I sipped that shit. It took me like 6 minutes to drink that shit, or 10 minutes to drink that shit. It took me a minute to drink all that, to drink it, you know. And when I drank it, you know, they were like, hey, after you drink this, make sure you hug a toilet, because you will need to hug a toilet, you know. But my Airbnb, there was only one toilet and like 3 people there, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, oh damn, I gotta share this bathroom. Man, I'm gonna be in this joint. I hope this ain't gonna be no problem, man. So because I even brought my own toilet paper, man, because I knew like once that Soup Prep got in me, man, it was gonna run through me. You know what I'm saying? So I I drank the soup prep or whatever, and then I could feel my stomach expanding, you know, and then I got real gassy, and then like all the solids came out first, right? I'm not trying to gross y'all out, but all the solids came out. Then it was like just green liquid. Then it was all clear liquid, you know. And I went to the bathroom that night, man, at least 10 times, man. Like every time I thought I had gas, I had to just get up and run to the bathroom, man. And I know that my Airbnb host was a little annoyed with that. So if you watching this, Airbnb host, I'm sorry, man. I told you I'm here for a medical appointment. You know, I didn't tell you what medical appointment. I didn't tell you what it was for, but you know, I was getting my colonoscopy, man, and I went to the bathroom 10 times that night, like all times. Like it was bad. Then I had to get up in the morning and do it again. So I had to get up at 8. And then I had to drink the second dose of that shit. And then I'm just shitting water, you know. Sorry, pardon my language, you know. As Jay-Z said, you know, I had to sit down to aim. Nah, but in that morning, I had to drink it at 8, and I went to the bathroom probably like 5 times, you know. And then by the time I got picked up by Clarice and Charlie, I was all cleaned out, you know. So I get to the spot, you know, and they tried telling me that at first they were trying to tell me that I had to pay like a $900 copay, and I'm like, no. I said I talked to my insurance. My insurance got the billing codes from y'all the other day. They said that per their insurance, this is a preventative. All the codes are preventative, which we cover 100% of. So it took them about maybe a half hour to kind of get on the phone and clear that up. But once they cleared that up, I went back to the station. And man, this whole process was crazy. Like this whole process was very, very amazing, man. You know, you go in the back, and it's like remember the TV show MASH. I know that's kind of dating me or whatever, I guess, but MASH, or like just think of like a war medical facility, right? Where you got all these different little little sections, right? And they got beds in each of these little sections, but they got the curtains over each of the beds, you know, or in front of each of the beds. And you go back there, and then you get like 4 to 5 medical assistants that come up to you, and like they're like just all in your ear, man. They're like, hey, how you doing today? You feeling good? Yeah, did you follow all the diet? Did you do soup prep? Cool, right? Cool. Okay, well, we're gonna need you to take all your clothes off, you know, and then you're gonna put on this gown, you know, ass out. I'm like, so I've heard, you know, and then you do all that, and then you get on the examination table, and then they come in, and then you got one chick. I had one chick that was getting my IV hooked up, you know. Then I had another chick, you know, running my my diagnostics or whatever and stuff. I had another chick that was collecting all my belongings. Then I had like another chick asking me all types of questions. Like they were just asking me all these different. It was like a NASCAR pit stop, you know. It was just real busy, you know. So I'm sitting there like, man, what the hell's going on, man? This is a lot going on here, you know. So then once I get all situated, they then wheel me into the examination room. So it's like I'm like, I'm thinking the examination is gonna be here, but nah, the examination was in a whole nother room. So they wheeled me into this other room, and then I saw my doctor, I saw the specialist, the one that I saw to get the appointment, and he was like, okay, well, you know, lay on your left side, and I said okay. So I laid on my left side, and he was like, yeah, scoot towards me a little bit. So I scooted towards him a little bit. And then the one nurse was like, okay, I'm about to start your drip, you know, and in 10 seconds, you know, you're going to be out. And I don't know what it is, but every time, like, I get a drip, man, like for example, like back when I got my wisdom teeth pulled and I had to be anesthetized, I don't know what it is, but whenever they say, you know, hey, count backwards from 10 or you about to be out, the last thing I have to say to myself is, man, yeah, right. And then I blink and I'm like, man, what happened? And that's exactly what happened, right? They the nurse started the drip, and Andrew stupid. He said it was a fast as an ass car butts. That's funny. Ass car. A little bit of wordplay, huh? An ass car butt stop. That's exactly what it is, man. That's a great way to phrase it. Thanks for the tag, man. But yeah, now the doctor had me like scoot over to him or whatever, and it started to drip. And then she was like, "Okay, you're about to be out in 10 seconds." I'm like, "Man, yeah, right, bitch." And then I blinked. And then before I blinked, I was looking at the monitor, right? I was looking at the monitor, and I saw it was blank. Then when I blinked, and after I blinked, I saw the monitor again, and I saw all these holes on the monitor. I'm like, man, why am I looking at all these damn holes on the monitor? I'm like, man, whose holes is that? I'm like, why am I looking at all these holes on the damn monitor? And then I'm like, I look back, I'm like, oh, that's my hole, shit. And I go back to sleep. But man, I ain't feel nothing, man. So, it was real smooth, man. Everything was smooth. Everything came out. No bad news. No scary nothing. Had a couple polyps. You know, they had to cut them polyps out. But anyone out there, man, like I said, man, if you're of age or if you got family history of colon cancer, man, go ahead and get that thing done, man. I know it took me like 3 years and 6 months to get this joint done, if not longer, but it's worth it, man. Like I got peace of mind now, you know, like I'm not worried. Like before I'd be kind of thinking about it. Like if you got something growing up in you, you want to get it up out of you, you know? I'm gonna say that again. If you got something growing up in you, man, if you got something growing up in you, man, you gotta get it up out of you, you know? But yeah, I'm glad I got it done. No more worries. Like my whole thing was like, because like I know when I went in there, I was thinking to myself, I was like, yo, it wouldn't be bad if they said, hey man, found something, you know, the road to recovery is 1 year, 2 years. I'd have been like, cool, let's get it done. But you don't want to go to those kind of exams and be like, yo, ain't nothing we can do for you. You know, like that's the worst. So the fact that I came out with like nothing, I'm like really blessed, really thankful, you know. So go ahead and get that hole checked, man. That's what I'm gonna end with. Go ahead and get that hole checked, man. But shout out to Memorial. Shout out to Memorial Care. That's what I went to. I went to Memorial Care. Man, shout out to Memorial Care, man, because the whole operation, like the actual colonoscopy process was so smooth, man. I highly recommend them for that, man. They get you in and out, man. The whole process took maybe like 45 minutes, if that. But the billing and the insurance part, like I said, healthcare in the U.S., man, we got to work on that, man. Like there's too much redundancy in the system, man. Too much redundancy. Not even redundancy. It's just a lot of wasted energy, a lot of wasted effort, you know. He said, stoked to hear that. Oh, man, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. But that was it, man. So that was my whole experience with getting the colonoscopy done, man. So, like I said, man, go ahead and get it done, man. It is well worth it, you know. But let's go ahead and move on to the next thing right quick. Man. So while I was in the Airbnb going through the process of getting ready to go get my colonoscopy, I was catching up on the boys, man. So that was my whole experience. Damn it, Andrew, you are tagging this shit up, man. That was my whole experience. I might change the actual title to the joint, man. That's a funny title. My whole experience. No, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's funny, but you know, I don't know. Yeah, you get the point. But while I was waiting to go to the doctors or to go to my appointment, cause I actually got there on Wednesday, stayed Wednesday night, got the procedure done. Oh, I'm not even done telling the story. I'm messing up. Let me take this down. So yeah, so I'm all over the place. My bad. But yeah, so back and forth, man. So when I got done with the exam, I don't remember putting my clothes on. That was very weird. I don't remember getting dressed. All I remember is being in a wheelchair on the curb, and my boy Donovan was there, and he was like, and like the nurse wheeled me out and was like, is that Donovan? I'm like, yeah, that's him. And then he helped me out the wheelchair, got me in the car, and then we drove off. But yeah, that drug that they gave me made me very loopy, man. So but I could feel it wearing off throughout the rest of the night. But man, I was like loopy, man. Like, that's crazy. Like, I don't remember putting on my clothes or nothing. All I remember is I looked up at the screen. I'm looking at all them holes. I'm like, holes? Whose holes are those? I'm like, that's my hole. Shit. And I went back to sleep. Woke up. I'm in a wheelchair. And that's my whole experience. So yeah, that was a part I wanted to really hit back on, because that was kind of weird. Waking up and then just not really, that drug they gave me, man, that shit made me in and out, man. Another pun, in and out, right? But while I was waiting on going for my appointment, because like I said earlier, I went, I checked in my Airbnb on Wednesday like in the morning, about 3:00. Then I stayed Wednesday night, had the procedure done on Thursday, and then I stayed Thursday night because they said I probably wouldn't be able to drive back that night. So while I was in my Airbnb, I was watching The Boys. I was catching up on The Boys, man. And The Boys, man, if you haven't seen The Boys, man, you need to go ahead and watch that thing, man. I'm hooked on The Boys, man. Man, it's crazy as I don't know what, man. But if you haven't watched it, you might want to pause or whatever, because I'm about to I'm not gonna go in too deep. I'm just gonna basically talk about one thing in particular that I thought was pretty interesting, because, like, as you guys know, the show is called Trippin with Theobold, where I trip in speech and thought. So the thing, I gotta talk about this character here. I gotta talk about this character. I gotta talk about Buster Beaver. Man, whoever played this character, whoever came up with this idea, man, this was so brilliant, man. Like, so if you don't know, basically, Black Noir has these like cartoon characters that like narrates what's going on to us, right? But I think that's what he sees. So I was kind of confused about that. I was kind of confused as to why those characters were chosen, and why he sees cartoon characters, like why they have to explain everything. Like, why does he even like see them? That was kind of like my thing I was trying to figure out. But Buster Beaver, man, is a stuttering he said not titled Colonoscopy. Oh yeah, it's titled that. The whole experience. But Buster Beaver, man, if you didn't watch it, man, he's a stuttering beaver, man. And like, he had a dope role, man. Like, he had a dope role in the whole joint, because he basically was like narrating like why Black Noir was the way he was, or how he got to be who he was, or whatever. And it kind of made you like really feel bad for Black Noir, man, because as you guys may know, like, Black Noir like supposedly gets killed by Homelander, because I don't think he's dead. Like, I think he got his guts ripped out. Well, we know he got his guts ripped out, but we don't know if he's dead or not. I think he's still alive. But the Black Noir character is a very sad character, man, because he tried to stand up to Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy damn near put him out, and then he conspired against Soldier Boy with everyone else to have him, quote unquote, killed or whatever. And then he basically found out that he basically was jumping back and forth between sides, right? He basically couldn't. He tried standing up to Soldier Boy, got whooped, damn near killed. Then he tried to go back and join the Seven, hoping that Homelander would kill him. But then Homelander ended up killing Soldier Boy. Ended up killing Black Noir. So, yeah, man. So, but Buster Beaver, man, like narrated all of it, man. And then the thing that got me is like they don't really like prep you for any of it. It's just one, it's like you're seeing all these cartoon characters, so you're like, oh wow, where all these cartoon characters coming from? And then Buster Beaver comes off and he starts stuttering the whole story or whatever, man. And it's like, oh wow, this is like different, you know. So they got to do a whole. I want to see them do a spinoff on Buster Beaver, man. They got to do a whole spinoff, man. Just where he came from, why he's at where he's at. I want to know more about Buster Beaver, man. And I think they said something about there being some post credits. So I'm gonna go back and watch the last episode of season 3 of The Boys and then get to the end credits. Because I think there's yeah, you said you didn't understand that part, Eric. Yeah, so they said that there's a post credit that comes up where they kind of explain everything, but I want to see more though, man, because that was just real interesting how Black Noir had these characters in his head and they were putting on plays, and that's a lot, man. Not like if you have like imaginary people talking to you, and not just that, but they putting on plays, narrating your life, man. That shit is deep, you know. So I like that, man. So it was just different, you know. It was a different spin, and of course I had to bring it up with Trippin with Theobold, you know what I'm saying? Because as you guys know, Buster Beaver obviously has a speech impediment, you know what I'm saying? So we talk about all things speech impediment related here. But nah, man, The Boys, man, I can't wait for season 4 to drop. Can't wait for that to drop. Speaking of speech impediment stuff, I forgot one thing. I forgot to do my tongue twisty, right? So my tongue twisty, I normally do that in the beginning of the episode. And the tongue twisty is, I'm just going to read it off to y'all right quick. It's underneath Uncle Umby's umbrella is Uncle Umby's ugly unicorn hat. Right? So I just picked that randomly. Underneath Uncle Umby's umbrella is Uncle Umby's ugly unicorn hat. One more time. Underneath Uncle Umby's umbrella is Uncle Umby's ugly unicorn hat. Right? So I do tongue twisties, you know what I'm saying, to try to, you know, get warmed up for the show. You know what I'm saying? But I forgot to do it, so I'm doing it late. But, you know, we're still working on things. We're still figuring things out. Things are going to be smooth one day. So now let's go ahead and get to the comedy portion of the show. Comedy bump portion of the show. Before I get into this comedy stuff, man, I gotta do this, man. I hate doing things like this. Because I think it sucks. It's painful, but you know, you gotta pay tribute, you gotta pay homage, you gotta pay respects, man. So RIP to our brother in the comedy community, Jack Knight. Brilliant comedian, man. Young dude. I didn't realize he was that young, man. But I met him a few times in passing at the Laugh Factory, and whenever he went up and did Chocolate Sundays or whatever show at the Laugh Factory, man, he always like you know, brought it, man. He was a one of a kind comedian, man. Like his jokes, man, they were his jokes would always start so far like left field, man. Like they would be like way left field because he's a very, very dark comedian, man. But they would start way off in left field. And I'm sitting to myself, you'd be sitting there thinking to yourself, man, how is he gonna bring that back? And every time he brought it back, and man, and that shit was funny, man. Brilliant comedian, brilliant writer. He had a lot of things going for him, man. Had a lot of TV shows going, man. He was a writer, producer, director, and I didn't realize he was that young, man. But just very talented, man. And we're all gonna miss him, man. You know what I'm saying? So, R.I.P. to Jack Knight, man. Thoughts and prayers out to your family. Like I said, I was floored when I heard that news, man. Cause I actually met the guy, you know, and he's real cool brother, man. So R.I.P. to that brother, man. That was like I said, though, I don't like breaking that kind of like news or doing that, but I felt like I had to, you know. Like I said, man, rest in peace to that brother, man. You know, we lost a lot of we lost a lot of comedians, man, in the past like couple years, man. You know, lost a lot. But yeah, R.I.P. man. I can't believe I'm even doing that, because I think I saw him like a few months ago, walked right past him, dapped him up, and that was that, But for today's comedy bump, I want to talk about going up overconfident, man. Like that's a mistake I've made in the past when it came to comedy, I talked to one comedian and we kind of like talk shop, and he always said the one thing he kind of like instilled in me was he always said, whenever you go up on stage, just anticipate everything that can go wrong, right? Just embrace it, right? Just look for every little thing that can go wrong and embrace it. So that way when it does happen, you're ready for it, And that was like some of the best advice I ever got, because I remember one time before I came across that kind of wisdom, I went up on stage one time overconfident, like I knew my material inside out. The room was packed. It was a lot of people in this room. And I worked my way up to get in this room, like I did a bunch of little small side rooms, and the producer or the promoter like saw me, and he saw me like kind of climbing my way up or whatever, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw you on my big show. So I get in there and I'm like just overconfident. I get on stage and I'm like being deliberately slow with everything. Like I'm just like taking like super long pauses, and I'm just overconfident, And man, I had at the wrong time, man. I had a joke leave my head, man. I'm like mid joke, and like I didn't even get a solid laugh yet, but I'm like mid joke, and I'm mid joke leaves my head, and I'm in front of all these people, like I'm like, hey man, forgot that joke. And then the producer saw me in the back, or he was in the back and was doing this. He was like, nah. He's like, man, you gotta wrap that up. Get off stage. You gotta get off. So after that, like me and that promoter, like we haven't done work again in the future, But he knows like what I'm capable of. But he was like, yeah, nah. I think you're gonna follow me on Facebook, everything. It was kind of weird, but that was my comedy bump I learned, man. Just never go up on stage overconfident, man. Go up there, humble. Just look at anything that can go wrong. Just make a list of everything that can go wrong and embrace it. So that way, if it does go wrong, you are somewhat prepared for it, So up next, there will be a Trippin with Theobold next Thursday, But coming up next month, I'm gonna be in Buffalo mid-August. I'm gonna be in Buffalo. Gotta take care of some more business. Help my mom out with some stuff. So, but I'll let you know when that comes up. But as of right now, we will have a Trippin with Theobold on the 21st and on the 20. I'm sorry, today is the 21st. Shit, we will have a Trippin with Theobold on the 28th, and we will have one to possibly the beginning of August. But when I'll let you know when I get ready to go out of town. Once again, R.I.P. to Jack Knight. Yeah, man, you will be missed. But try and think of what else, other shows, other things coming up. There's nothing else coming up. But with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in for this episode of Trippin with Theobold. As you guys can see down below, AT is where it's at on most forms of social media, so follow me. But with all that being said, okay, I'm just reading the comments. Yeah, man. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Al and Eric for tuning in, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Keep tuning in. You know what I'm saying? But like I said before earlier, AT is where it's at on most forms of social media, so follow me. So with all that being said, that's all, folks. I'm out of here. Peace. Yep. Trippin with Theobold.
Let's go.
Caliente.
Trippin. Trippin'. Trippin'. Trippin' with Theobold.
Trippin' with Theobold.